Hundreds of thousands of innocent people living in two disputed areas on the border between Sudan and South Sudan continue to be affected by war and have no access to even the most basic humanitarian aid. The United Nations top humanitarian official Valerie Amos said this week the international community must intervene quickly in South Sudan or watch the young country sink even deeper into disaster and possible famine. United Nations humanitarian chief, who was speaking after briefing the United Nations Security Council on the deteriorating situation in both South Sudan and Sudan, said if urgent action is not taken now, there will be unfolding of a major humanitarian crisis in South Sudan with respect to food insecurity and the possibility of famine. Amos said ongoing fighting and the breakdown of the peace process for South Sudan is putting hundreds of thousands of lives at risk. She warned that famine is also a strong possibility in part of South Kordofan in Sudan. The United Nations and others in the international community says bombing raid carried out in the South Kordofan and Blue Nile state by the government of Khartoum have forced large numbers of Sudanese from their homes and have interrupted famine. Amos called on the Security Council and anyone with any kind of political influence to bring pressure to stop the violence on the warring parties in South Sudan and Sudan. She also called for the United Nations humanitarian operation in the two Sudans to be scaled up significantly. The United Nations says 1.5 million people have been displaced and around 4 million people face alarming food insecurity as a result of 7 months of fighting in South Sudan. It also says that tens of thousands have been displaced by violence in South Kordofan, which is one of the Sudan's biggest production area for sorghum, a staple food. The government of Sudan has been battling the Sudanese People Liberation Movement, not or SPLM&N, a rebel movement that fought for the independence of South Sudan for control of the oil-rich areas. For iAfrica TV, I am Amadou Barry.